Welcome to the Tech Talk podcast. My name is Werner van Walt and I'm your host. Today's guest is the Managing Director of Peppler Software Solutions, Johan Combrink. Johan, how are you?
Hi Werner, good and you?
Well, thank you. John, thank you for joining us for this Tech Talk podcast. And in the podcast, what we really do is we focus on leaders to drive growth through innovation. And thank you for joining us for this fascinating conversation. Johan, by way of introduction, would you mind just telling us a little bit more about yourself and your journey and obviously your company?
Okay, cool. My name is Johan Combrink. I am the Managing Director of Peppler Software Solutions. We are a software development company based in Pretoria, South Africa. We do a lot of work for banks. We do a lot of work for FNB, some of the big banks in South Africa. We also work with security companies like Stallion Security. We work with Discovery, that's also like an investment firm in South Africa. And we also do a lot of AI-driven stuff with a new product called Peppler Voice, which is one of the things that really is exciting at the moment. We're trying to drive innovation via AI to see if we can be on the forefront of the AI race, mostly via telephony, which is still a big part of everyday life, and that's sort of where we see ourselves in a product space more. So Peppler is sort of dual divided. One side we do services, and we do software development as a service, and then we also do voice, which is like one of the new products that we're launching. I think as a software development company, you typically want to have not just selling hours and selling services and consulting hours, but you also want to get into a space where you can actually do a product, and that product for us is Peppler Voice.
Fantastic. I can't wait to explore more about what you're saying. But before we get to that, would you mind just telling us more about your personal journey? How is it you came to be into the position where you are currently?
Werner, it started sort of 25 years ago as a young high school student, really enjoying software development and enjoying solving problems. One of my God-given talents is just doing problem solving and solving problems. It's just a natural gift I have to sort of look at complex problems and solve them. So, at that point, software development was an outing for that, and solving complex problems, real world problems with software development. So started out studying, got a BSc honors degree in computer science, then did a degree after that in project management and business management. And then from there, started out as a software developer. I worked for a small software development startup company for 2 years. After that, sort of transitioned into a GIS company where I was involved a lot with election-based systems that drive elections for countries. Also GIS systems, that sort of geographical information systems with spatial systems, also C#, a lot of C# and high-performing systems. I was with that organization for 8 years, Computer Foundation. After 8 years, I sort of felt the need to say, okay, what's next for me? What's next for Johan? And where does Johan see himself in sort of 10 years? And that was very much when Peppler was born. Peppler at that point was just an idea. Started out in my garage at my home, and just me. Afterwards, sort of approached 1 or 2 people in the industry that I knew. And before you knew it, we were 2 people, then we were 4. Got a first real client, got a first real project in, started working for companies like Synertech, evolving with RFID as a technology, building more relationships, getting more clients in. And fast forward 3 years, we're too big for my house. At that point, we are 8 people. The gate motor is opening up 10 times a day more than it should. The plumbing starts becoming a problem. There's too many people. the gate motor breaks. My wife is irritated with all the people on site every day working at my house. And
That's
at
the
that
one
point,
thing everybody listening to the show was thinking. Your wife probably had something to say about this.
I think so, yes. So at that point, it was really like, okay, now we need to move and we need to get a space. So we sort of located in Fairy Glen, Pretoria, which was at that point just the next logical thing. It's sort of central to where everybody was living at the point. And yeah, we got some offices, small offices at the time. Got a few desks, and that's sort of where we started out. And yeah, the rest is sort of like small incremental steps. There wasn't one big thing that just boomed everything off the table. You know, it was sort of small incremental steps to where we are today, and just building on what we had previously. Yeah.
I love hearing that, and if I may, I can maybe just comment that the entrepreneurial journey is something I always ask about, and I'm always interested in, and it always centers around some of the things you already mentioned. It is the tenacity or the inclination to want to solve problems, that willingness to take that first big step to resign a job and actually start your own little business, even if it starts in a garage. And apparently, tech companies and garages have something. There's something to it as an incubator. And the other thing I really enjoy about what you're saying, because I think that's just common sense and maybe good business common sense for lots of people out there, is there was no defining moment. It was all these small incremental steps. But looking back at your business journey, all those little steps adds up to where you are now, and you're probably poised for a next season of growth within your company. That would be my guess. If we can continue from there on, you describe Peppler Software Solutions as obviously a custom software development house, and I'm not going to pry into that too much. But what I am really interested in is some of those software that you develop that's in-house development, and the one you mentioned is Peppler Voice. Would you mind just explaining to us exactly what that is and how it works, so what solution it brings to your customers?
Cool. Yeah. So if I had to define Peppler Voice, I would have to say Peppler Voice is a real-time, turn-based artificial intelligence voice system. Okay, so that's a mouthful. But if I had
Okay,
to
yes.
break it down, there is an agent. The agent is basically an artificial intelligence model which has the capability to talk to you like you and I are talking now in natural speech, right? So we can say to the agent, you are a creditor, somebody that you know, a credit clerk, and you work for a debt collection company, for example, and you have been with the company for 10 years, and your basic role is to ask people for a payment plan, for example, and you can build a little persona, if you will, for this agent. The agent is then set up all via a portal, via a user interface. It can also be done programmatically via APIs, etc. But for the average user, there's a portal, and the user can log into the portal, and then at that point they can see, oh, cool, here's a AI agent. So you can set up, you can pick an avatar that you would like to associate the agent with. You can set some AI parameters, things like the temperature, etc., on the model. And then you can give it a system instruction. That could be, like we discussed now, you are a debt collector, you work for so-and-so, you present this company, this is your role, this is your reason for existence. After that, you as a Peppler Voice user can then initiate a phone call. And that sounds easier said than done. But in your world, you enter a telephone number and you click a button and you connect your voice agent that you just created with a person on the phone. And that could be many people at the same time. And the agent then follows a script. It's not just following the script, it's following the guidelines of the script as a normal conversation would happen. At that point, the conversation is then saying, cool, I would like to initiate the phone call. The bot then starts, it greets you on your first name. It then understands what your intent is as the user. So typically you would try and craft out one or two paths. The one path can be to, for example, in the debt collection case, to then get a promise to pay, and then ultimately the bot can then record that live in the background via API. So while the user is on the call with the bot, the bot can make API calls in the background into systems that's already existing in the client's world. So if it's a debt collection company, it can make API calls directly into the API in the background. If it is a doctor's office, it can maybe do an appointment to say, cool, here's an appointment. And the appointment is with regards to moving an appointment, confirming an appointment. If it is a security company, it can make a phone call to, verify if somebody is safe or not safe, and then cancel an alarm in the background via a tool. So really what it comes down to is this agent is aware of the context of speech. It understands human speech. There's no text-to-speech, speech-to-text model. It all happens dynamically. It happens in runtime. It happens turn-based. If I would like to speak over the agent, it would stay quiet and it would allow me to speak first and then, move from there. So, yeah.
Well, that's fascinating because, I mean, if I may speak frankly, a bot that phones you is not that unique, and there are many bots out there. But what I hear you saying is that what makes Peppler Voice different is it's got the ability to integrate within whatever system or database or whatever it might be that the client might have. Actually read read that information, act on instructions it's given, and then interact on behalf of the company with that customer. Do I understand it correctly?
Yes, exactly that. So all of that is then packaged into a API that you as a company can utilize. It's packaged into a portal that you as the company can utilize. You don't need to build your own portal. You can use the one that's there. You can schedule phone calls. You can track your billing. All of this is done at a fairly cheap sort of rate, if you will, and a per minute billing, and everything is sort of there for you to use as a SaaS product at the end of the day. So that's sort of on a high level. That's Peppler Voice.
I love what you're saying, and look, I'll say this at the end of the podcast as well. But we will obviously within the description box of this podcast leave a link to Peppler Voice if you might be interested in the product. I just think the integration obviously just sets it so far above anything else within the market, and obviously with AI changing the whole face of technology, the real-time understanding and interaction, I see that it also is just something that elevates Peppler Voice above anything else within the market. And my thinking is that when software is employed well within any organization, it will increase, it might even multiply your revenue, and it will remove so many inefficiencies within companies. And I see this product doing exactly that. So I'm really excited for you guys at Peppler, Johan, and well done, and good luck with the rollout of the product. If we can move on beyond that, if you look at your industry and maybe the business landscape in general, what are the current trends you see busy shaping both your industry and maybe even the larger economy?
Yeah, so currently within the software industry, we definitely see a move towards artificial intelligence. Just how far, we're not quite sure yet. I mean, things like Claude Code is coming out. You also get ChatGPT's Codex. You get something like Devin, which is all sort of trying to replace the software developer at the end of the day. I don't think that's going to happen just yet. I'll say yet with an asterisk. Maybe somebody looks at this and they laugh. We're not there yet. So we're sort of there where it is an AI-assisted development scenario is possible, where trends are becoming to sort of utilize AI rather as a tool and a software development tool, almost like you would Stack Overflow, Google, using ChatGPT or these GPTs as a sort of coding assistant rather than using them as a full-on, here's a task, go and do it, come back. We're definitely seeing a move towards AI. We're seeing a move towards voice user interfaces where people would want to use their voice to sort of be talking about, instead of having a graphical user interface that we all sort of know, you log into something, you are clicking a button, you're moving your mouse around, you're tapping your phone screen. That's all graphical user interfaces. I sort of see the market moving towards a voice user interface where you can get certain things done by just talking to an AI, talking to, a graphics design tool, talking to, interacting with products later on via voice. That's sort of where I think a lot of the market's going, hence our earlier discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, what else? Those are sort of what I'm seeing in the industry at the moment. We're trying to move with at this point. It's
Well,
very
if
fast
I
paced.
can't have a conversation with my fridge within 2 years, I'm going to come back to you and ask you about it. But it's fascinating what you're saying, and it's one of those predictions I haven't heard too many other people make. There's lots more to unpack here. And my suggestion is that we eventually do a part 2 of this podcast with you at some future date, if you're willing. There are just so much more here to explore. But if I may make it a little bit more personal, in your business journey, can you give us an example of one business challenge you encountered and how you overcame that specific challenge?
Yes. Lots of technical challenges, obviously, in the work that we're doing today. Year on year out, lots of different technical challenges. Sort of a few comes to mind. I think maybe one of the project challenges, I'm going to highlight a project challenge if that's okay with you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, so currently, helping a nation elect a president. That is, that's a challenge, right? That's sort of a
Yes.
challenge. And how does one do that in the most scarcely populated area in the world? Okay, so population, not a huge population, but a huge area, like places in Namibia. There's not a lot of people around, but there's huge distances to be covered to get ballot papers into certain areas, to get votes transmitted back after people have voted, to get that from the most remote regions you can think of, places like Kunene, next to the Skeleton Coast. It's a very mountainous area. To get voter registration kits there, to get people registered to vote, to then find the people in the area to vote, and then after them voting, transmitting those votes from a very remote location over cellular communication, barely, to a central location, and then report to the world what happened at that point. So those are some of the sort of challenges we've had to solve, from Pepla's side. Huge undertaking to try and get all of that organized, to try and help with the technology where we can. Obviously, we as a software development company is not driving around with the kits, etc. But we're part of the planning process, we're part of the integration process, we're part of the vote transmission process, we're part of the roll-up processes, we're part of the broadcasting that out to as many people as quickly as possible in real time, that you can see on your phone what's happening with the election, and then ultimately electing a president for your country. So that's some of the biggest challenges I've been involved in and had to overcome technically.
And just for our audience sake, I mean, you might not know this, but Namibia is a neighboring country to South Africa, and it is essentially one big desert with, as Johan said, a very sparsely populated population, just spread all over the place. And it brings with itself some unique challenges, and you're part of the team that solves that for the Namibian election. And I presume then, Johan, if somebody were to look up the Namibian election results, either the results itself or the background system that fed those results, that's part of your offering, is it right?
Yeah, I mean, we partner with various other organizations in such a big project, but yes, we are part of the core team that actually delivers that at the end of the day, that assists with the software development, that assists with the setting up of the app, setting up with all of the transmission of those votes, setting up the server, setting up security around that, making sure everything runs like it should run. But yeah, that's sort of on a high level. Not
Well,
always do we have control over when they release the votes, how long all of that takes. There's a
yes.
political element to that. But yeah, overall on the software side, we've been involved in that for many years now. I think we did
And this,
four or
sorry, Jan.
five elections now. Yeah.
And that connects with something you said right at the beginning. I mean, you love solving problems, and it's been that spark that led you into this entrepreneurial journey. This project itself is a big problem to solve, and you're part of the team that actually does that. And I think it's a worthwhile cause. We're coming towards the end of our podcast. One or two last questions, if you don't mind. Can you share with us one story of how you overcame a challenge? I mean, you already shared that, but can you add to that maybe one piece of advice that you would like to leave with our audience?
I think every problem has a solution. The solution doesn't always come when you're sitting and thinking about it. Sometimes you need to just go do the dishes, and at that point you sort of get your eureka moment. So whenever you're really stuck on something and you feel stuck, it's not always wise to stay in that place of being stuck. Sometimes you just need to take a bit of time and walk away and think about it. At that point, sometimes something just lights up afterwards. Your brain is constantly thinking about that, even in the background. If you park it in the background, sort of default network mode kicks in. And at one point, it is churning away. And at one point, it sort of like comes forward again. And it says, cool, here's the solution. Have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about it that way? So yeah, all problems have a solution, depending on how far you want to go.
And if you think about it, we all have stories to tell like that, where you had an eureka moment outside of your normal, let's say, work environment or work routine. So that makes a lot of sense. And my very last question, and then I'm going to have to close this podcast. If you had to leave our audience then with one takeaway, one last thing to ponder about, what would that be?
Okay. Yeah. Werner, I would say AI. Go check out Peplum Voice. Go check out how it's working. Get in contact with us. If you want to optimize your business, if you want to move forward on that front, let's have a chat. Thanks, Werner.
Awesome. Thank you, and thank you for joining me today. And for our audience, please note that a link to Jan's company's website, People of Voice's website, and also a link to Jan's LinkedIn profile will be available within the show notes. And please go check it out. And I already asked Jan if he would be willing to join me for a follow-up episode. And he hasn't answered me yet, but I'm sure he will say yes. And I'm sure we'll see Jan again in the future. That's it for our episode today. Thank you.
Thank you, Werner. Bye-bye.
Thank you.